Dual Rack is a special setup mode for two IDR MixRacks. It is to expand the number of input channels from 64 to 128. Any two MixRacks from the IDR family can be combined this way. The resulting number of physical inputs available depending on the chosen models. Any format of iLive interface option can be used, but if the slave MixRack is one of the fixed format range, then the link has to be ACE, as port A is fixed ACE in these units. An advantage of using ACE is that the AH net control network can be bridged over the ACE Cat5 cable. The two MixRacks must have unique IP addresses and unit names. Make sure both addresses and names have been set before they are connected together. Set these in the network settings page of the utility menu, or use the network menu in editor. For example, set the slave unit to 192.168.1.4 and its name to IDR slave. Connect the master port B ACE card link 1 to slave port A ACE using a Cat5 cable, and bridge a network socket on the master MixRack to its port B control network socket. If a surface is used, connect this to master port A ACE. Go to Utility, Network, Dual MixRack Setup and touch Add Slave. Highlight a MixRack in the list and touch Inspect. The system is inspected for suitability. Details of the MixRack are displayed. Check that the firmware is compatible, touch Apply to add the MixRack as a slave. The MixRack reboots and resets its parameters. A master and slave status is created with the slave MixRack configured to have its same mixbus architecture as the master. A large system of 128 input channels is now established, and these can be patched to physical input sockets using the iLive Surface or Editor interface. Channels 1 to 64 are sourced from the master MixRack or Surface socket, while channels 65 to 128 are sourced from the slave MixRack XLR input or port B card if fitted. Each MixRack processes its own channels, and the Mixmaster MixRack processes the 32 buses as well as the 8 FX engines. For this reason, the effects may be inserted only on channels 1 to 64. Outputs on the master MixRack and Surface can be assigned directly from the Outputs menu. To benefit from alternative output locations offered by the slave MixRack, send the signal via the master port B link to the slave MixRack. Then select the slave rack from the drop-down menu. Touch an output socket on the slave MixRack and select the inputs coming into port A from the master, ACE in this example. Scenes and show files are saved with the data from both master and slave MixRack settings and can be recalled onto another dual rack setup in the future. If the show is recalled into a single MixRack system, then only the settings from the master rack will be used. If this is subsequently overwritten from a single MixRack system, then the original slave rack data will be lost. The master and slave status of the MixRacks are retained if they are separated. The master would try connecting to the known slave unit. If not available, then it would work as a single system. The slave would remain in slave status and should be connected to and deselected by another MixRack before it can be used as a single system again.